All right, everyone, welcome to GAMcast Live. The biggest story of the day. The biggest story of today, October 21st, 2022, is the continuing Steve Bannon travesty. He was sentenced today to 4 months in prison and I believe a $6,500 fine. The good news, if there is any, is that the judge did grant his petition to be released or to stay out of prison pending his appeal. And anyway, this is just a continuing travesty of justice. And there's a lot of things to unpack here. This is why it's the biggest story of the day. The Democrats just keep winning. I don't know what it is, but everything about politics today is, heads they win, tail we lose. So they've got an unconstitutional January 6th committee that has no legislative purpose. They didn't bother to put any members of the minority party, which is required in order to subpoena people. They subpoenaed Bannon, and he's going to make this point. I've got him queued up here for a reason. He's going to make this point in a minute. But before he does, I want to explain, contempt has always been a willful thing. You have to willfully be in contempt. So he shouldn't have been found guilty in my view. And he's going to make the point in a minute, but I want you to understand how this works. Typically what they do is they subpoena you to come in to give deposition, or oftentimes they'll subpoena you for documents. Again, if they subpoena you for documents, then oftentimes if you just produce the documents before the date of the subpoena, they'll waive your appearance. I mean, it's lots of things that happen. But you have to understand that with subpoenas, it's always been understood to be in contempt, or for it to be actionable, it has to be willful, right? And so here, if you recall, what the big problem was is that Bannon claimed he had some privilege issues. He claimed he had some executive attorney-client privilege and some executive privilege claims, and that he wanted to work them out, and he didn't understand the date that they gave to be a date certain. Congress literally picked a date out of thin air, which is another thing you have to understand about subpoenas. Okay, and again, I've been a lawyer for 25 years. I know this stuff backwards and forwards. You pick a date oftentimes, but when you do that, it's always understood that that date was just pulled out of thin air, and if it's an inconvenient date, you'll work with the person to get a better date. And so that's what was going on here. And for the first time, we don't prosecute people. The last time somebody was prosecuted for contempt of Congress was in the Reagan administration, and Reagan was president from 1981 to 1989. But no, January 6th committee, again, in the most unprecedented move, just said, no, we picked a random date, you didn't show you're in contempt. Boom, that's it. And they're treating it like a strict liability crime, which I do not believe it is. And so the judge, another thing you have to understand is this is a Trump-appointed judge. So first, he did not quash the subpoena. He did not find that the committee is unconstitutionally constituted. He didn't find any of these things. And you can see here the penalty is shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor, punishable by a fine of not more than $1,000 or less than $100. So it sounds like the minimum fine is $100, or imprisonment in a common jail for not less than 1 month nor more than 12 months. So it sounds like he's got between 1 month and 12 months, right? There's an argument that he could be made that didn't have to punish him at all, but he rejected that. And he didn't go on the low end, folks. So I don't understand why it is a Republican and Trump-appointed judge is not going for the low end on this. Again, it's just a travesty of justice, even from Republicans. Anyway, here's another point that Steve Bannon made that I thought was a very good point.
By the way, I want to say one thing. I respect the judge. The sentence he came down with today is his decision. I fully respect. I've been totally respectful of this entire process on the legal side. I also want to make one other statement before I talk about a broader topic. More than any person in the Trump administration, I testified before the Mueller Commission for more hours. Today was my judgment day by the judge.
All right. Anyway, that's true. He did comply. He did the same thing before the committee as he did with all the other things, and they didn't try to hold him in contempt, and now they are. Just puts the lie to this travesty. Anyway, we try to keep these under 4 minutes. So if you enjoyed this live stream, I hope you tune back in tomorrow or for the next one.